Oh, it feels so good to finally feel connected and regulated again. I've been traveling for most of the month and I haven't done my routine and I just have been feeling bad. Of course, let's be real. I journal every day how I feel, and half the days for the last few months I haven't been feeling good. And my normal state is one of joy, for sure. I know that. My normal state is one of joy. And it's been such a good experience to say, okay, even though life is chaotic and we never know what's going to happen and it has so many challenges, that it's when I don't do my routine, that's when I get to practice finding joy in my moments and staying connected. And so it's been a big test and I failed, but luckily there are so many chances every single day to try again and get connected again. And so now that I am connected again, I can reflect back. And I was talking to someone at a conference, and this is a woman who coaches women on consciousness and being connected. And I said, how come I got into consciousness, I got into manifesting? And really quick, if you don't know me and my story, I was raised, like a lot of us were, in a church community where there were a lot of rules that didn't make sense to me, a lot of very strict rules. And the women were like submissive to the men and had to wear long dresses. And there were so many good things about the community too. But the reason I wanted you to have that backstory is when I left that community and I left my ex-husband, I felt like I didn't know anything. I was like, okay, I know nothing, which felt good to say I know nothing because it was the truth. And that's when I realized, okay, telling the truth and speaking my truth, that feels really, really good. Okay, I'm going to keep doing that. And it took me a long time. It took me about 10 years, a little more. And during that time, I would wake up every morning and I would decide to be positive and I would decide to be happy. And I used to run gyms. I still own them, but I don't work in them anymore. And in the gyms, I would have these little groups and I would tell them my story and how every day I would wake up and I would decide to be happy no matter what. And then eventually I really was. And I was still searching. And when I came across the law of attraction and manifesting and all of that fun stuff, I was like, oh, this is what I did. This is what I did, like on accident, on my own. This makes sense. And when I first started reading Joe Dispenza and Esther Hicks and, Michael Singer, I adore Michael Singer, I was like, yes, I have it figured out. I'm never going to have all these problems again. I'm never going to feel bad again. Like, I have it figured out. And then crash, bang, I won't go into it, but the last few years have been some of the hardest years of my life after I came into the world of consciousness and being connected and manifesting. And I've also manifested everything that I've written down and continued to want, which is beautiful, and I'm thankful. I'm still in the process of manifesting my beach house. I don't have that yet, but giving it time. And so I was sitting across from this lady at a conference and I just asked her, like, why? And she said, oh, welcome to life. And I feel like once I found all of those teachings, I just felt like my life was going to go like this. I felt like I had the secret. You've read that book maybe. And I just felt like life was going to just continue to improve. And it has improved in a lot of ways. And I've grown in a lot of ways. And I've learned so much. But as Eckhart Tolle, if I'm saying his name right, talks about in one of his videos, I'll link it below, that's life. Life is the contrast and life is the challenge. And if we expect life to not have challenges, then we are going to be upset and disappointed. But if we expect life to have challenges, which the analytical part of my brain says, wait, but if we expect life to have challenges, then are we manifesting challenges? No. We just understand that there is beauty and something to be learned in everything that happens. And we don't, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. About like it doesn't feel good to say, I expect life to have challenges. But I understand the teaching that if you say that you expect life to not have challenges, then you're just going to be upset every time there's a challenge. So I get that. So I'm on board working on it. And something this very wise woman asked me is, she said, have you been setting your intention every day? And I was like, oh my goodness. I've been doing my meditating. I've been doing my breath work. I've been imagining my future. But no, I have not been setting my intention for my day. There was a time where I was. And so she's like, why don't you just try setting your intention each day while you're meditating to have a day of ease and grace. And what that's done for me in the last couple days is I've had great days. And my grandpa died yesterday. And I've had beautiful perspective. And I realized that he did show us how to love, fiercely. I'm so thankful for that. And he lived. I was able to, a couple months ago, go and visit him and ask him his story. And I recorded his voice and I didn't tell him. And as he was dying, I said, Grandpa, I did something and you're going to be mad at me. And he said, no, I won't be mad at you. And I think he thought I had a bigger confession because he's still in the community that I was raised in, and there's beautiful, wonderful people, and there's good reasons to stay in that community. But anyways, I said, I recorded you telling your story, and I'm going to put pictures to it. And he has a great-grandchild that's going to be born after his death, and we'll never meet him, but she can hear his story. And listening to his story, he went for things and he was always real, meaning you knew what Grandpa was thinking. And there's a beauty in that. And even as a poor kid, he decided he was going to become a pilot, and his story of how he became a pilot is just amazing. It's we can do so many things that we don't realize that we can do. And so today, again, I'm setting the intention to have a day filled with ease and grace. And I loved my client meetings yesterday and the day before, and I really feel like I have followed the love in my business. And it's apparent with my team, and it's apparent with my clients, and I'm so thankful for that. And I've realized that I can build a life and a business to where I don't have anxiety because I've set the business up properly. Meaning I've set it up to where we follow our core values and we do everything we can, right, to serve. And so even though there might be moments of, things that are really stressful, it's we're following our core values and we're serving and we're doing our best, and that feels really, really good. I want to feel that. I want to keep this feeling of connectedness. I can't stand it when I'm not connected. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the feeling of disconnection is awful. For me, it's doubting everything. It's anxiety. It's in my body. I just feel it in my body. And the feeling of connectedness, which is what I feel right now, it's bliss. It's Michael Singer calls it the river of joy. And I'm so thankful for it. I want that for you too. I was doing a exercise on my purpose, and one of the parts of my purpose is helping others get unstuck. Like, on this earth, we can get stuck in things that keep us down and don't serve us and make us miserable. And I've gotten out of a lot of things I was stuck in, and it was scary and it was hard. And I want to help others get unstuck. And one of the terms that came up was a freedom creator. I enjoyed that. And something else that came up was breaking the invisible chains, getting out of the invisible prison. But I think the biggest thing was I see the potential in others, the potential to be free, and the potential to be happy. And I'm so thankful when I have it for myself. But that's why I owned gyms for so many years. Is the first step in my journey was getting physically healthy. Because when I was overweight and when I was unhealthy and I just felt bad all day, every day, I just felt bad. It was so hard to be connected. It was so hard to feel love when I felt bad in my body. And then once I felt good in my body, it was so much easier to feel love. And so that's one of the reasons that I started my gyms 20 years ago. And now my business helps entrepreneurs free up their time and be able to work on the things that really bring them joy. And that feels good because my whole family, like, we've always been entrepreneurs, and we've always either been like really stressed out, or like it's just always been about work 7 days a week. It's always been about your business because that's how it is as entrepreneurs. And I really have a heart for people who are stuck in their business. And so with virtual assistants, it helps with that. And so that continues on my mission. And then with my virtual assistants, they're in the Philippines, and we're going to go visit them soon. And I'm helping them get unstuck, like unstuck from situations where financially they don't have freedom and they can't afford to take care of their family the way they want to. And so right now my mission is just serving on all sides. It's serving my clients, it's serving my virtual assistants, and truly it's also allowing me to be of service and make these videos, which I wrote in my journal this morning that I want to be somebody who is helpful to others. I want the messiness of my life to be helpful to others in some way, and I feel like this YouTube channel is like a way to do that. It's super therapeutic too. You should try it. So I'm going to go into this day with the intention of serving my clients with everything that I have in the moment and having ease and grace in this day. Love to you. I would love to hear where you're at in your journey, how you're feeling.